Greetings everyone, Joseph James here once again from theschooloftrade.com, and your third and final video is part of this 3-video series and the 3 steps to your trading success. Now let's recall for a second what the first 2 steps were. Step number 1 was to use our auto levels indicator to locate the very best levels to use, and then look for simple price patterns such as the wave, the 2-step, and the breaker to potentially enter a trade. Now step 2, once we found those levels and once we look for the patterns, we then use our simple and mechanical entry rules to identify these patterns either being high or low probability in order to make sure we're taking only the very best trading opportunities that the market gives us. Now once we have steps number 1 and 2 done, step number 3 is we want to look for confirmation. So of course, looking at our 3 steps to success, we have the entry pattern first, entry rules second, then look for the confirmation third, and that should give you the confidence you need to pull the trigger for your entry. Now, as you can imagine, every time we take a trade, we can either have confirmation or there may not be any confirmation at all. So if I see confirmation, I'll take the trade, as you can imagine. If there's no confirmation, I will not take the trade. I might skip the trade or just wait to see the confirmation show up. So what does confirmation look like? How do we know when, beyond any doubts in our minds, we should be pulling that trigger and executing this trade? Well, we're going to use our rules, obviously, as kind of the basic fundamentals of it. But we want to look at this as being in the heat of the moment. Remember, when this thing's going to be setting up, we have very little time to make this decision. We have to make it correct. So while we see the patterns developing, we're now looking for confirmation. Here are some certain things we look for confirmation just before we take that trade. I want to see increasing speed of the tape, as opposed to decreasing pace of the tape, right? If I see increasing pace of the tape, that is a great confirmation that this move is continuing. But if I don't see any increasing, in fact, if I see the opposite side, right, decreasing pace of the tape, that is no confirmation at all, which means I'll skip the trade. Now I'll also look at my time and sales window, specifically my filtered time and sales window. Do I see large orders coming across that filtered time and sales window in supporting my trade? If I do, that's great confirmation. Go ahead and take that trade. But if I'm watching my filtered time and sales window and I see only small orders, or I don't see any large buy or sell orders to support my trade, there's no confirmation, and I might skip that trade or simply wait for the confirmation to show up. I can also, of course, look at my faster time frame. My faster time frame, such as a 1-minute chart or a 4 range or an 89 tick chart. I'll look at price patterns. Am I seeing bullish or bearish price patterns on my fast time frame to support my trade? If I am, of course, make sure bullish patterns for a long trade, bearish patterns for a short trade. If I see those patterns in my faster time frame, that too is a great confirmation to take the trade. But if I don't see, right, if I don't see any bullish or bearish patterns, if I see flat price action, if I see indecision on the charts, right, dojis, sideways horizontal market, then that of course will give me no confirmation and I'll wait for the next trade. How about follow through? Right, what is follow through? Make sure to search on our YouTube page for the term follow through. Now follow through is the confirmation of the move itself. Follow through will happen above a swing high or a swing low. And of course that follow through is one of the biggest key components for confirmation that we're ever going to see. That means for a potential breaker pattern, let's say to the long side, when we break through a swing high, that of course will qualify a breaker pattern. Seeing follow through would mean that we're going to see price not just break through that swing high, but really run through it. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks above that swing high, that's follow through. Now if I don't see any follow through at all, right, if I just see it basically just sit there about 1, 2 ticks above that swing high or below the swing low, in other words, if we don't see any follow through, then of course I will skip the trade and look for another. How about momentum? Momentum, very important, guys. We look at momentum on the last couple of things we look for. So just before we pull the trigger here, is momentum pointing in my direction? For a long trade, is it curling up from the bottom? For a short trade, is it curling down from the top? The momentum indicator is a very important piece of the pie, and I want to look at it towards the end of my checklist here. So real quick, if momentum is continuing to be in my direction, that's great confirmation. If momentum is overbought for a long trade or oversold for a short trade or curled against you, that is no confirmation, guys, and I will skip that trade. How about my medium and slow time frames? We use multiple time frames. Now, very important, guys, on these medium time frames and slow time frames, remember, guys, we have dynamic indicators on those time frames, which means dynamic. They're always recalculating. So we want to make sure just before we pull the trigger, we check those medium and slow time frames to make sure we still have those 6 ticks we need to let our trade run. If I don't have the 6 ticks, and guys, this is where our entry rules would have qualified originally. But remember, the entry rules may qualify at 5, 6, 7 minutes beforehand. We want to make sure right before we pull that trigger, do we have 6 ticks of room? Because these dynamic indicators may have recalculated, and of course what was 8 ticks before may now be only 6, 5, 4, 3, even fewer, now that we're about ready to pull our trigger. So make sure you check that medium and slow time frame for overhead resistance for a long trade or support below for a short trade. If I have seen it greater than 6 ticks, take the trade. If it's less than 6 ticks now, be very careful and you may want to skip it. How about the trigger line? Can't forget about that important dynamic indicator called our trigger line. And of course, we're looking at the slope now. Now, this is another one of those important things you want to look for right towards the end of this whole checklist when we're about to take this trade. Remember, time is not on our side. The longer it takes for the trade to set up, okay, the more risk involved on the trade. Now, when it comes to the trigger line, if a trade takes a very long time to set up, it's usually because of a couple things. Either the price action is too slow, or sideways markets, right? Or we don't have any new highs or any new lows. We have a very horizontal price action. So if the slope of the trigger line is nice and steep, that is a confirmation, take that trade. If the slope of the trigger line is flat, that means nobody has control over price. And we talked about that today in the live room today, in the webinar today, about how we do not want to take a trade when we can't see who has control over price. Last but not least, if it takes more than 5 minutes. If it takes more than 5 minutes to trigger a trade, that will usually be not enough confirmation to take that trade. Remember guys, time is not on our side. If it takes more than 5 minutes between when it sets up and when it triggers, you want to be careful. Okay, so if it takes less than 5 minutes, go ahead and take the trade. If it takes more than 5 minutes, it's probably because nothing's moving, you've got price action stalling. If it takes greater than 5 minutes, guys, chances are something is wrong. Be careful, there's no confirmation there. So once again, guys, you can see here, we have confirmation sometimes, but sometimes we're not going to have any at all. Look for that confirmation. Remember, guys, practice makes perfect. So go down your list, go down your checklist in the heat of the battle when we need to make those split-second important trading decisions. Let's wrap it all up. In conclusion, step 1 was to use our auto levels indicator to locate the very best levels to use, and then we look for important price patterns. Step 2 was then to use those entry rules that we give you to identify those patterns as either high or low probability. That will have us obviously waiting for the very best trading opportunities every day. And then step number 3 is, once we see those levels, once we watch for the patterns, once our entry rules qualify the pattern as being high or low risk, we then can look for our confirmation. And again, guys, the confirmation is going to be a very time-sensitive issue. We need to be familiar with it. Practice makes perfect, and use those rules. And remember, guys, those rules are always weighted, the most important things first and the most important things last. So make sure you're looking for momentum, speed of the tape, 6 ticks, right before you take that trade. And as always, guys, it looks like this. Entry pattern first, entry rules second, look for that confirmation, and then if you get it, pull the trigger. Now, guys, what's coming up next? Well, in our next video series, I want to keep a close eye on this for next week. We'll talk about the trade management, how you maximize your profits and minimize your risk. Now that we've shown you how to watch for the patterns, how to qualify the patterns, and now how to execute with confidence with those patterns, well, now you got to know what to do when you get the trade on the table. So next week, again, brought to you by theschooloftrade.com, we're going to have another video series on our blog that'll be covering trade management, how to maximize profits, minimize risk, what to do if something goes wrong, and when to do nothing at all. Once again, guys, my name is Joseph James. I want to thank you for your time today. Come join us at theschooloftrade.com in our live trade room. Opens up at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Time every morning. We'll give you guys a free 3-week trial to come out and join us. As always, guys, look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow morning in the room. 7:45 we open up. Don't miss a tick. Bye-bye for now.